Hey, ever tried opening a box that looks simple but leaves you scratching your head? Today we're making a trick opening box that's as deceptive as it is elegant, perfect for hiding a little treasure. Stick around to see how this seemingly simple cube hides its clever secret. Here's a teaser for you. This box actually consists of 79 parts. Welcome to Soulful Crafts. Time to make something truly awesome. Let's get started. To make the viewing experience a breeze, I'll briefly explain the general idea behind this project. I had an idea to make such a box that would look as deceptive as possible, to the point where you couldn't tell where's the lid just by looking at it. So first things first, I needed to come up with the design for this box. But you're probably wondering, what's deceptive about it? You just need to pull the lid by the handle and it'll pop right open. Well, no it won't. In fact, what if this side is the lid? Or this side? Well, you get the idea. So let's set some goals for our project. First, the box walls should mimic the behavior of the actual lid. Basically, they should be indiscernible from the lid. Second, the lid should have some tricky mechanism to open it. Third, how do I put it all together? Okay, let's focus on the first step on our list. How do I make the walls mimic the play that the real lid will inevitably have? That's right, the walls should be loosely attached to something. But to what? It's a box. Well, this part is actually simple. Our box needs a basis that will hold everything together and the exterior frame that will hold the bases. If that makes any sense. Well, I'll explain this when it's time. So let's start things off with the exterior frame of the box, made from this gorgeous oak board. Well, it's actually a regular baseboard that I repurposed, but it's gorgeous anyway. First up, I ran it through my DIY CNC router to get the thickness just right. A few passes and a bit of hand sanding later, I had oak strips perfect for the edges of our hollow cube frame. But this can't be assembled into a three-dimensional hollow cube just now. For this I need to make a 45-degree bevel on each side of each part. In fact, this has to be a bidirectional bevel, since we're making a cube. This means that the parts need to be repositioned several times during the production process. And this worries me a bit. Now here's where the fun begins. It turns out that my CNC wasn't as precise as I'd hoped. The bevels came out asymmetrical, like a haircut you get from your overly confident roommate. Of course I blame the CNC and not my material positioning skills. So what should have been a perfect cube turned into a sanding marathon. Eventually, after mastering my new cardio routine and gluing this disaster together, I got a hollow cube which isn't entirely embarrassing to show. While the glue sets, let's make the outer walls for our box. Or should I say the ultimate poker players. Get it? Because they're supposed to mimic the lid. I'll show myself out. Using my CNC, I milled the pine panel down to size. Routed the deepenings for the spoofing mechanisms. I'll get into that a bit later in the video, I promise. Drilled the mounting holes and cut the walls into neat squares. I must tell you, this time the cutting precision was on the high end. Okay, however, while that is true, fitting these walls into the oak frame was like convincing a cat to take a bath. See, the fact that I had to adjust, let's use that word, the sides of the cube so that they could be assembled into a cube didn't go unnoticed, and the planned dimensions of the cube have left the chat slamming the door behind them. But after a few rounds of additional adjustments to the outer walls, I've managed to achieve the perfect play to keep the illusion of the real lid on each side of the box. Great, the first goal is accomplished. Let's move on to making the inner box along with the locking mechanism and the spoofing mechanisms as well. I use my laser cutter. Oh, do you remember my air balloon project? Well, that really took off. So I used my laser cutter to create all the pieces from 3mm thick plywood. At least now the dimensions should be precise, since there's no me involved in the cutting process. Well, that is embarrassing. I've managed to outsmart myself once again. These deepenings are mirrored. I thought I was building a box, but clearly Murphy's Law was building its case against me. Anyway, it's nothing that can be fixed. By the way, if you're liking the video so far, feel free to hit that like button. This helps the YouTube algorithm so that more people can see this video and maybe find something useful for them. Or even better, subscribe to the channel. It's really nice to see the feedback from you. Thanks. Now, let's get back on track. These deepenings are for the screw heads from the screws that hold the outer walls and the auxiliary frames together. This is a part of the spoofing mechanism that allows the walls to move, mimicking the lid. Once everything's done, I plan on gluing the auxiliary frames to the inner box with the walls attached to them. But before that, I need to make the locking mechanism and the lid. You've probably guessed by now that magnets are somehow involved. Well, yes they are. For the handle I use 2 neodymium magnets. Why 2? So that the handle has a better engagement with the locking mechanism. This will not work otherwise. And I need to make 5 corresponding magnetic washers for non-opening walls that will engage with the handle the same way the lid will. A fair question, why is there only 4 washers, you see? That's because the 5th washer was hiding somewhere, probably laughing at me as well. Ah, there it is. I'm gluing the magnets in place using my favorite cyanoacrylate glue, aka Grip and Regret 5000. I'll let them rest for now and get myself busy with the locking mechanism for the lid. This is the most valued player of the lock, the encoder disc that will act as a key in the locking mechanism. Since it is the moving part that has to be reliable, I decided to install it on the rotation shaft through a ball bearing for smooth rotation. We're already sort of familiar with this next part. It is a similar magnetic washer to those from before, with the only difference that it can drive a mechanism if attached with these pins. Yes, you've guessed it. They work together like Batman and Robin, if they were made of wood and magnets. Next step is making a sandwich from all the parts and putting them in a box so we can eat them later. Oh sorry, what I meant was and putting them in a box that will be attached to the lid later. Let's pretend that the mechanism worked perfectly from the first assembly and no adjustments were needed. And by no adjustments I obviously mean hours of tinkering, a few desperate prayers, and the kind of fine-tuning that makes you question your life choices. Phew, finally. And here's how it's supposed to work. The inner box has a cutout pattern that matches the pattern on the encoder disc, so that the box can be opened only when the disc is set in the right position by rotating it counterclockwise, and even the slightest misalignment will prevent the lid from disengaging from the box. Excellent, the last goal on our checklist is putting it all together. And the great news is that we're running out of things that could possibly go wrong. Or are we? The rest of the process is pretty much straightforward. I put the inner box inside of the exterior frame and prepare the outer walls for mounting. Oh, almost forgot about the spoofing magnetic washers. That's what their function will be, by the way. So I'm putting everything together to make sure everything's aligned properly and the mechanism works, before I go ahead and glue everything together with Forever Bond No Takebacks Edition cyanoacrylate glue. The process is fairly simple. Apply the glue, make sure everything's still aligned, apply pressure, pray that the glue doesn't find its way to the magnetic washers, repeat 5 times and you've got the ultimate trick opening box, perfect for hiding a little treasure. Speaking of treasures, this handcrafted brush is what the box was made for. Check out the brush video for more creative adventures, I'll put a link somewhere. So the brush is inside, let's lock the box and then hopefully unlock it. Okay, it's locked. Wait, where's the lid? Oh man. By the way, while I struggle here, if you found this video to your liking, chances are you might find other videos interesting on this channel. So don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment with what you'd hide in the box like this. Hope that this video was of any value to you. Thanks for watching, take care, see you next time. Oh, I got it! See, it opened. And the brush still intact.